Hi guys, and welcome back to the Talking Money with Nozi podcast. I'm your host Nozi, and today I want to share a personal story with you. One that completely changed the way that I think about money and inspired me to start investing and basically be more responsible with my money. It all started with a book, and you might have heard about it. The book is called The Millionaire Next Door. This book is my all-time favorite when it comes to personal finance. And even though it was written by US authors in the 90s, its principles are timeless and of course they are borderless. The insights it offers are just as relevant today as they were back then. And I believe they can have a huge impact on your financial journey just like they did on mine. It deals with a lot of things, but I'm just going to talk about the things that stood out for me. And one of the things was it completely destroyed the myth of high income equals wealth. So before I read The Millionaire Next Door, I used to think that only high income earners could invest and become financially independent. I thought you needed to be earning big bucks to even think about investing. But this book completely changed that perspective. The Millionaire Next Door is based on a survey of more than 10,000 millionaires, and the findings were quite eye-opening. So contrary to popular belief, most millionaires did not inherit their wealth. So when people talk about rich people or millionaires, they like to assume that they got their wealth from their parents, it was an inheritance, they didn't work hard for it. But the Millionaire Next Door says nope. Most millionaires are self-made, so they built their fortunes through smart financial habits rather than, a huge inheritance. So here's the big takeaway from that. It's not about how much you earn, but how much of your income you save and invest. The book shows that financial independence is not just about having a big salary, it's about what you do with the money that you earn. Many of the millionaires that were surveyed in the book didn't necessarily earn sky-high incomes, but what they did is they mastered the art of living below their means and investing consistently. So in the survey, they surveyed millionaires who were teachers, millionaires who were blue-collar workers, the people who do construction jobs. Of course, there were also high-income earners in there like lawyers, doctors, but it was a spectrum, guys. It wasn't only doctors that became millionaires or only lawyers or only bankers. It was across the board. The common theme being they lived below their means. And so, guys, this was a huge wake-up call for me. And I realized that I didn't need to wait until I was earning more to start investing. I could start right where I was with the income that I had. Another thing that really stood out to me in the book is how most millionaires are not flashy. So you see, most of us have got a very warped idea about millionaires, and the media is to blame for that. Because when they feature rich people, they will normally show like celebrities who spend very much. Guys, wealth is not spending. It also seems like counterintuitive. You would think that the rich are the ones that are driving the big cars, right? Wearing the flashy clothes, right? Living the high life. No, that's not what it means actually. Don't always assume that a person who spends a lot of money is a millionaire. Oftentimes they are not, precisely because they spend so much. So you will not see the millionaire next door wearing expensive clothes, watches, or driving the latest luxury cars. In fact, they could be your neighbor and you will never know it. That's why the book is called The Millionaire Next Door, because these millionaires are often hidden in plain sight. So one of the key points the book makes is that these millionaires do not fall into the trap of lifestyle inflation. In fact, they became millionaires by being frugal. So they are not excessive with their spending. They don't spend their money trying to keep up with the Joneses. Instead, they live below their means and they invest a high percentage of their income and they focus on building wealth over time. This was a powerful lesson. It made me realize that wealth is not about flaunting what you have. In fact, most millionaires are not insecure. They are already millionaires, so they do not have to prove to anybody that they're millionaires. True wealth is about financial security and independence, which comes from being smart with your money, not spending it on flashy things. I'm not saying that all millionaires don't spend on flashy things, but most of them, they do not derive their worth from signaling that they are wealthy. In fact, it actually can work against you. Imagine if you're wealthy and then you go around showing people that you are wealthy. You become a target for crimes, for jealousy, and all sorts of things. So most millionaire next doors prefer to not be known that they are millionaires. It makes sense, right? The book also highlights the importance of keeping your expenses low. It makes it clear financial freedom is more dependent on your expenses than your income. So think about it. If you're earning a high income but spending most of it on the latest cars, the latest fashions, or luxury homes, you're not building wealth. You are just increasing your lifestyle. On the other hand, if you keep your expenses low and invest a high percentage of your income, then you are on the fast track to financial independence. One of the most surprising findings in the book is that millionaires don't give what's called financial outpatient care to their children. This means that they don't constantly bail out their adult kids with money. Instead, they teach their children the value of earning and saving their own money. Guys, this is so important. A lot of people that I speak to always say, oh, I want to leave a huge inheritance to my kids. I want my kids, not to struggle. Those are noble ideas. But let me tell you, you need to teach your children to earn money and to save and invest money. If you don't teach them this, and then you give them inheritance, guess what they're going to do? They will blow it. It's the next season of I blew it loading. So children who have got no financial education, no discipline, they are not going to do well. You're not doing them a favor. In fact, it's rather you would leave them with an education to make their own money and save and invest it rather than giving them money. This mindset helps to build generational wealth rather than encouraging dependency. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's all well and good, but this book, The Millionaire Next Door, was written in the 90s in the US. How does it apply to us here in South Africa today? Let me tell you, the principles in this book are timeless. They are borderless. It doesn't matter where you live or when you are reading it. The lessons are the same and they are true. Number one, live below your means. Do not get caught up in lifestyle inflation. It's so tempting, right? When your income goes up, you want to drive the car that matches the income. You want to live in the home that signals that, hey, I've made it, right? Just because you can afford something doesn't mean you should buy it. Just because you qualify, the bank calls you and says, oh, you qualify for this and that, doesn't mean you should go for it. Lesson number 2, invest early and often. The sooner you start investing, the more time your money has to grow. Don't wait for the perfect time. Start now. Number 3, be consistent. Wealth is built over time, not overnight. Stay consistent with your savings and investments, even if it feels slow. Guys, I've been investing now this year in September, which is next month. It's my 7th anniversary as an investor, as in when I started investing for myself on the stock market. Only last year, which was 2023, I started to see my portfolio growing in a meaningful manner. So it means in year 1, I saw nothing. Year 2, I saw nothing. Year 3, year 4, year 5. Only in year 6, 2023, things started looking good. So if you're that kind of person who is impatient, you will not make it. Investments don't grow in a week or in a month or in a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, as I've said. It takes many years. So these are the principles that have guided me since I read the book. And they can guide you too, whether you are just starting out or looking to get back on track. These simple rules can help you achieve financial freedom. Here's the conclusion. If there's one thing I want you to take away from today's episode, it's this. You do not need a high income to start building wealth. What matters most is how much you save and invest and how you manage your expenses. The Millionaire Next Door changed my perspective on money, and it inspired me to take control of my financial future. I remember when I was reading this book, I was still using public transport. In the taxi, I could not put this book down. I was glued. I hope you are as inspired as I was when I first read this book. And I think I'm going to read it again. It's worth reading again. Trust me. Okay, guys, thank you for joining me on this episode of the Talking Money with Nozi podcast. If you haven't read The Millionaire Next Door yet, I highly recommend it. And if you have, I'd love to hear how it impacted your financial journey. Let's continue this conversation. So you can reach out to me on social media, or you can drop me a text on WhatsApp on 072 586 2827. Until next time, remember, financial freedom is within your reach. All it takes is smart choices and the determination to stick with them.